Tomorrow's Healthy Chatter guests are Robbie Mixon and Satchel Pandolfino, and they'll be joining us to talk to us about the Food Hub. Tomorrow is the day that we kick off Seldovia being able to order from the Food Hub, and I believe this is at least our 5th year going into being able to order from the Food Hub. And so we're really excited to hear what changes they have regarding how COVID has impacted food supply, but they're really excited to be rolling out again for us this summer, starting tomorrow.
I'll tell you a special note is that Robbie Mixon from the Food Hub said that their May orders so far have doubled previous Mays. So people are really tapping into the great resource of locally grown and sourced foods. It's pretty exciting.
Excellent.
Also on Friday is going to be Seldovia Village Tribe kickoff. And Shannon, while you talk about that, give me just a quick second because we have one more call-in user, and it might be Senator Murkowski. 1 second.
Okay, so for tomorrow's summer kickoff barbecue, we are going to be from 4:30 to 6 o'clock at our Alaska Tribal Cache building where our roll-up garage door is. We are going to be doing a summer kickoff barbecue drive-through. So if you get a chance to call Ariel ahead of time, you can give her your order, or you can just show up and drive through, and we will have bellhops to take your order and get some food to your truck for you or your vehicle, so you can go and have a family meal together tomorrow on the tribe.
That's terrific. Thank you so much, Shannon. Okay, let me check in with our other phone guest. Hi, this is Laurel with Seldovia Village Tribe. I wanted to see if we had Senator Murkowski on the line.
You do. I wasn't sure how I was going to get unmuted, so you rescued me. Thank you, Laurel.
Yes. The webinar feature it's an interesting one, but it does allow us to moderate call-ins and Zoom video conferences. So, Senator, I'm just going to share the screen real quick to show the flyer and the invite to our participants, the folks who have called in today, and also videoed in so they can see it visually. And this is just an opportunity to join with Senator Murkowski through this great technology way. The last time I believe that we had you in Seldovia, you might have been Seldovia's honorary old crab at the Independence Day celebration.
I'm trying to remember what year that was. That has to have been about 10 years or so ago.
Well, so maybe it's sooner, but you like to put distance between it. I understand.
I'm just trying to think about it. But I was back in Seldovia a couple years ago though too. But yeah, my memorable trip was there for the celebration. I still have that crab hat, by the way.
Oh, excellent, excellent. Well, just so you know, this year's theme is a salute to veterans, and the community is determining how best to go about celebrating Independence Day. But if we're able, Senator Sullivan is invited to be our honorary old crab.
Great. Well, I will highly encourage him because it's a wonderful celebration when you have your entire community come out, as Seldovia clearly did when I was there. But doing it in a way that I think those of us that have grown up in small towns, there's nothing better than good small town parades, and Seldovia does it up with style.
Oh, well, thank you so much. And being as you're from Wrangell, you understand those small town festivities and celebrations. So yesterday we did have a parade drive-through for our graduates yesterday. So all different ways of doing things, but we still celebrate their efforts and their work.
I have had an opportunity to do, I don't know, probably at least a half a dozen different graduations. Some were pre-recorded videos. One was a live stream across all of Alaska. I did a Zoom video to our Zoom graduation ceremony with the students in Haines the night before last. And every one of them, the communities are coming out in different ways, but in very special ways to pay tribute to their young people, to celebrate their accomplishments. And well, it's disappointing that we don't have kind of the traditional ceremony, the pomp and the circumstance. I think what we have seen with how our communities are recognizing our graduates is really heartwarming. And it's got to be hard to be a 17, 18-year-old thinking about all the things that have changed and been missed because of the COVID-19 and this pandemic. But in many ways, this is a graduation that they will always remember, that the community will always remember. And so hope it makes them feel special in a way.
Definitely. Well, I'm going to bring on to video myself, and then also Crystal Collier is with us as a co-host today. Crystal is the president and CEO of Seldovia Village Tribe. And right now, if you look, for those who are looking on Zoom, there she is, great. She's unmasked and present with us. Crystal, why don't you go ahead and welcome the senator as well? We have we'll do one quick.
Gotta unmute. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. We realize that we're in this strange new world of Zoom videos and, personal responsibility for whatever distancing we're doing, but it has opened up an opportunity for us to have these types of exchanges with people that are far away from us. So we really appreciate you joining us, and hopefully you're going to update us on things in Washington and where we're at and what we can expect coming forward in the future.
Great. Well, thank you, Crystal.
And so for the folks who have joined us today, just a note once again that there is a chat feature where you can chat in comments and questions. And Senator, what we'd love for you to do is share with us, and then we do have a few questions that were provided ahead of time, and we might get some more in the chat as well. And while you're on, we also want to give a welcome to Michelle, who is your aide in Kenai Peninsula, and Anna, and I want to say maybe Anna is in Washington, D.C.?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think Anna is there. I know that Michelle is in Kenai.
Great. Well, thanks for all of you joining in, and Kenneth who helped to coordinate. So we look forward to what you have to share. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Laurel. Thank you, Crystal. Thank you to the community of Seldovia, to all those of you that are listening. I'll keep my comments relatively brief so that we can have a little bit of an exchange with the questions or the concerns that you want to present to me. But as I mentioned when I was speaking about our graduates and the impact that they have seen as a consequence of this pandemic, I think it is an understatement to say that this pandemic has impacted all facets of life, and dramatically so. Across the country now, we've lost close to 100,000 people. Some 38 million people are now unemployed around the country, and for many it is a pretty dispiriting and a low time. It's kind of tough to be optimistic if you've been laid off, or if your state or your city is subject to a stay-at-home order. But we know that here in Alaska, we're pretty tough people. We are pretty resilient. I believe that we will clearly get through this. We've managed other crises. We are working hard in Washington, D.C. to tailor legislation to fit our needs. We managed to include about $1.3 billion in funding to the state from the CARES Act, and included in that same relief fund money directly for our tribal governments, an $8 billion set aside. Congress provided funding for states to increase unemployment benefits. This is significant not only for the benefits that are provided, but also the expansion to those who are employed, sole proprietors in the gig economy, those who have typically not been able to take advantage of unemployment benefits are now able to do so. Individual assistance that has been provided to Alaskans. Support for our small businesses, about $700 billion in loans that, if spent properly, will be converted to grants to help our small businesses stay afloat and keep people on the payroll. We worked really hard in the Alaska delegation to allow the calculation dates for seasonal businesses to get as much support as possible, so that they were able to keep their businesses operating, to keep them opening. I think when we think about the CARES legislation, though, that is legislation that was really focused on economic stabilization, and stabilization from the perspective of not only the economy, but also stabilization on the health response front. So making sure that not only our hospitals have the resources that they need, but our communities have the resources that they need as well. Working towards treatment, working towards a vaccine, how we get more testing out and available. So that relief, that stabilization effort is underway now. But I think we all recognize that there is more that needs to be done as we begin the reopening, as we think about not just stabilization now, but how do we move to recovery. But I do think things are starting to look up. The state is improving, certainly in terms of its numbers. We are one of the forerunners, if you will, in terms of states who have really been able to flatten that curve. We've done it through increasing testing. We're testing on a per capita basis more than most states, and I think that's important. The way to get back to work, get our kids back to school, I think is going to be when we have greater certainty, and that certainty can come with testing. We're all very worried about the tourist season this year, and there has been great tension about whether or not to open up, how to open up. Is it too fast? Is it too slow? But I think we have to acknowledge that economic activity can't come at the expense of the community's health. And so this has been a real challenge and a stress. But the governor has just, again, as he's moving to yet another stage of reopening, following the guidance of the medical professionals here in the state. There's been a lot of debate about this 14-day quarantine order and whether or not we still need that. As one who just now returned to the state just hours ago, I'm under a 14-day quarantine. I would love to know that could be reduced or eliminated soon, but I, as one individual, want to make sure that I am adhering not only to the guidance, but that that I respect the situation of other people's health around me. So
I wonder
we
if
are all, as we
mind.
say, we're all in this together.
I wonder if your
So
husband
I'm
doesn't mind too much.
well, no, he's not. He is not here in Alaska right now. So
Oh.
when I'm in quarantine, I am in like solitary quarantine,
Oh,
which is
wow.
a little bit unusual
Yeah.
for me right now. But you know what? I was one of the early ones. They have established a testing center at the Anchorage airport. As we're dealing with so many folks that are coming in from other states and other parts of the world to come work in the fisheries and in our seasonal businesses. So they have a testing center that was established there. So I thought, you know what? It's right there. It's going to be quick. It's going to be easy. And there's a 24, 48-hour turnaround. So we'll see what my test says. I'm pretty certain that I'm absolutely. It's making sure that we are working to reduce risk, and not only risk to me, but to everybody around us. We're all working together. These are challenging times, but as Alaskans, again, we're pretty resilient. So I'm happy to take questions. I know that we're going to have at least one question about the situation there at the post office, because I've heard we've been hearing back and forth on this for a little bit of time. So I'm happy to just tell you what I know about that particular issue right now, if you'd like.
Why don't I'm going to invite Darlene Crawford to speak,
Okay.
if you don't mind. And she's a local elder and leader in the community. And she knows that I'm going to call on her. So hang on a second.
Excellent.
All right, Darlene, you should be able to speak at this time.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thanks. And thank you, Senator, for being on with us. And I'm glad you know about the post office problem. It's been a big cause of contention in town because everyone's worried about how are they going to get their medicine and what about the mail I just mailed? And rumors going around that maybe the post office will be closed for an undetermined time. So we'd be glad to hear any news you have on it.
Well, let me share this with you, Darlene. And believe me, I understand and appreciate the significance of having a post office in a community where you're not connected by road system. You don't have access to pharmacy there. It is a life connector to have a fully functioning post office. So when we were notified, let's see, I'm trying to remember exactly how many weeks it's been, but there was a vacant part-time flexible position in Seldovia that we've been trying to fill. There was a selection that was made, and the individual was reluctant to attend a training in Anchorage because this was at the height of just the whole outbreak of COVID, and just a concern to attend that training, which is understandable. And we were told that would be a requirement to go in. And so we are still in the process of looking for someone to fill that position. What my office heard as of late yesterday afternoon, the postmaster there in Seldovia notified her manager that she would be taking extended medical leave. And prior to this time, as you probably know, she was working, or the post office there was open on limited hours. So at this time, what I am told is that there is a postal employee from Homer that is in Seldovia both today and tomorrow, with the post office open from 11 until 3:30. And I'm operating on information that we received this morning, but I understand that they're hoping to be able to use this employee to cover the Seldovia post office. It may only be on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for 4 hours a day at this point in time, and they're going to keep us updated as we go forward. So this is information that we got from our contact at the central office of the U.S. Postal Service here in Anchorage. Now, we recognize that it's not just Seldovia that we have problems with staffing right now in our smaller post offices around the state. This is something, in my view, though, that I can understand when you have a situation with medical issues, and we have to allow for that. But I also recognize that we don't have a good backup system for the U.S. Postal Service in Alaska. When we have somebody who needs to take some kind of leave, in far too many cases, things just kind of like fall. I won't say that they fall apart. That makes it sound too dramatic. But you think about so many other employers where you have you've got backup staff, you have on call, you have a way to fill temporary openings in a way that doesn't cause massive disruption. And when you have small communities that no longer have reliable mail service because you don't have, it's not like the mail didn't get to you, but you don't have anybody who can disperse it. That's in my view, that's a management issue, and it's something that I have talked directly with our postmaster here in the state. I've raised it back in Washington, D.C. My constituent services director is involved with these matters all over the state, and it's a challenge to us because they say, well, we don't have the resources in the U.S. postal system, and we know that our postal system is struggling. But if you want to make sure that you have people that support the system, you have to make sure that the system is working. So, Darlene, that's a long explanation as to your current status. Know that we are monitoring this very, very carefully and speaking again with not only the Alaska Postal Service, but trying to get us to a better place so that when we have vacancies, whether it's in Seldovia or any other community around the state, we don't leave the residents with no way to access their mail, their packages, and their prescription drugs. So we are very engaged with this.
Thank you so much for looking into that for our community, Senator. And one of the things that helps us to be resilient is to be natural problem solvers and to use common sense. And sometimes we do run into things that don't feel like common sense. A few notes that have come from the folks is that well, I'll just say number one, as a frequent user and subscriber of Amazon Prime, I know that myself and others in the community have really helped the post office. Crystal's smiling because she knows too. And we have really helped the post office in terms of the number of items that are coming through, and sometimes it's more than 2,000 pounds of freight on a given day, and the local airline that works with the post office as well. It's a great team effort, but just note that for one person, once a day has been challenging, and so though we appreciate that there is something in place that might happen, to have the 3 days a week, even that will be a challenge for them. So just getting the mail in and out on a regular way is important. And one other comment is that it does feel that it's time for them to look at an alternative way to streamline the application and training process, especially when we have a veteran postmaster who she is a hub resource for. So our postmaster is Rosanna McGinnis, and we love and appreciate her, and her mother was the postmaster before her. And Rosanna is an incredible resource for the rural post offices around the state. And we know that she's regularly on the phone coaching people at all of these other locations. And so I think validating the fact that she's a master at what she does would help in future training. So that's our hope.
And I really appreciate you saying that, because I do think particularly with things like training, there are so many aspects of training anymore that we can do utilizing the technologies that we have with us. And you know, if there's been any silver lining to the coronavirus and what has happened, is that we have seen the benefits of using technology when it comes to telehealth, distance education and learning, and teleworking. And so when you think about some of the challenges that we face, some of the costs that we face in a state like Alaska, many of you know that for a lot of the work that you do, you have to travel to Anchorage for whatever conference it is, whatever training it is. I think one of the things that we're going to be looking at is ways that we can reduce costs and be more efficient and utilize different ways to do training. Now, not everything can be done by Zoom. Not everything can be done in this manner. But where we can, why would we not want to do that? And to your point, why would we not want to use the local experts to then help facilitate whatever that training then is on the ground? So allowing us to be a little more flexible in how we do this, I think is part of the solution. And I think that's your point exactly.
That makes so much sense, and we really appreciate it. You know, I was talking with a city council member on the street the other day, Vivian Rojas, and she said that she had recently watched a video that talked about the Exxon Valdez oil spill, and in relation to the impact of the coronavirus effects on our emotional, social, spiritual, physical beings, and how that oil spill had that same type of impact. And just today we had at Seldovia Village Tribe our environmental staff out in the harbor partnering with the Center for Coastal Studies to do research on the effects of a cleaning station that was here in the bay from that oil spill. And so, I mean, how many years later we're still dealing with the effects, but what we know is that we can see things that Alaskans became stronger about in technology and in resilience as after that oil spill. And so here with the effects of coronavirus, it is exciting to see how we forge a new path forward for the state and for our communities and each of us individually. So I appreciate that. I'm going to share the screen real quick with our participants. There's a graphic that the state shared yesterday from Seldovia that it is about I'll read it to you. You're on the phone. So it says, by taking these simple steps, we can all help keep Alaskans safe while we enjoy Memorial Day weekend. Wash your hands, maintain a good distance, have a mask ready to wear, stay at home. This, when you're sick, stay at home. But this all equals a safer Alaska. And so we're moving into Memorial Day weekend. We started the Seldovia Bay Ferry today. And so there's still concern, of course, about movement in the state. And one question that came up from a resident was in regards to wearing a mask. And just, we all know that there's a lot of counsel on when is best to wear a mask. And so they asked if you could speak to your personal practice regarding mask wearing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I recognize that that right now wearing a mask or a cloth covering is guidance, but it is guidance that I am respecting. As I mentioned, I'm in Alaska. I came back from DC yesterday, and DC is a hot spot right now. They have not flattened the curve in Washington, D.C. In fact, there are more deaths from coronavirus in Washington, D.C. than Alaska has had positive cases. We've got, I think, 403 positive cases in Alaska, and the recorded deaths in Washington, D.C. are 410 as of yesterday. So you asked about my personal practice. When it became part of the broader discussion that ways that you could not only help to protect yourself but protect others by wearing a cloth covering, I decided, I'm not a doctor, I am no expert here, but I am going to respect the guidance and I'm going to follow it. So what I do is I wear, in the office, in the Senate, it is advised that we wear a mask whenever we are outside of our own office. And so I do that on the Senate floor, keep it on, wear it outside if there are other people around. If there are no people around and it's outside, I'm not wearing it, but I have it around my neck. Yesterday, as I traveled, I was on Alaska Airlines, and their guidance is they want to have everyone wear their mask throughout the flight unless you are eating or drinking. Mm-hmm. And so I was on an airplane for, I think, 13 hours, 14 hours yesterday. Well, no, I wasn't on the airplane that full time. I was in Seattle at the airport. But believe me, when I was in that airport in Seattle, I wore the mask the whole time. So I've kind of taken the position that it is common sense to me that if my mouth is covered, then droplets of whatever is in my mouth or in my nose are going to be contained to me and me only. I'm not going to be sharing. I don't share that accidentally with a sneeze or a cough on anybody else. And so it's my way of just exercising some personal responsibility. I have experimented a little bit with different masks. Some of them I don't like. They're not comfortable. They don't fit right, and they make me kind of irritable. I don't need to be irritable. What I've done is I've found masks that are more comfortable. Oh, and I'm not wearing protective covering that medical professionals would wear, because I still think that we are experiencing far too much of a shortage. So these are cloth face coverings that friends have made. I'm not a seamstress myself, although I've watched how to do it online and I think I could. But I've got a pretty fabulous collection of Alaska-specific masks that every day it's like, okay, which mask do I get to wear today? And so I think part of it is in your attitude. But again, I don't know if the person that I am walking by or sitting next to lives with an elderly person whose health is compromised, and I don't want to be responsible for sharing anything that could harm anyone else. So we're going through some different times that require different approaches, and I'm trying to do my part.
Thank you, Senator. Greatly appreciate that information and just sharing your personal experience. And just mention to Anna and Michelle, hey, that'd be a really great Facebook thing, is to have people rock their Alaskan masks and share their photos with you all. It's been pretty neat. If you follow Dr. Zink, which we all do, right? So think like Zink. As we follow her,
Right.
she's had some incredible mask designs that she's been sporting. So it's a whole new fashion for us, I think. So.
Well, and in fairness, Laurel, I do have some pretty good Instagram posts of my masks.
Okay.
And I was just told by a friend yesterday that apparently, I'm pulling it up because it was news to me, but let's see here. I have made, my Alaska masks have made the most fashionable list in the category of congressional members' best and worst masks. So I am rocking it in the great Alaska mask category.
Excellent. Very nice. That's terrific. Well, we're glad to hear it. Well, I'm just going to look over to our chat again and just see in case anybody who is listening in, watching in, has a question to follow up with. But maybe, Crystal, just if you have any general question or commentary while I'm looking.
I have to remember to unmute myself.
I know, I need to make a, like, I'm getting ready to send to you signal.
I appreciate you encouraging Senator Sullivan about coming to Seldovia for our 4th of July. We are still curious about what we're going to end up with for our 4th of July, but we know that, as everybody says, that's a date on the calendar and people are going to come. But we're hoping that as the governor has opened up the state of Alaska starting tomorrow for a lot more expansion, that we're thrilled to be able to participate in that, and recognizing people's personal responsibility to, to do what they feel is necessary. So I appreciate your talking about your wearing of a mask and how you feel that's necessary. And I see a variety of people that don't or do, and it is, again, personal responsibility and how people want to live their life. And I think that that is important also. But the tribe has a lot of programming that we do year round for residents and for visitors and things like that. So as we're moving forward into that realm again of getting face-to-face contact, and, we're just excited to play bingo, honestly. I mean, bingo's opening up. Our gym is going to get to open. So we have a lot of programming that, we're excited about. Tomorrow we're going to do a barbecue that we're going to have people take away food, but normally we'd have one where everybody was together on the outside beach and we just enjoy and share, but we were a little concerned about that this year and how would we do that and all that. But as we move forward into summer, I think this is going to be a great opportunity for us to just try to get back to whatever we think will be a normal for us as we move forward. But we totally appreciate you sharing with us and having that ability to ask you questions. So there may be somebody that wants to ask a question.
So I'm seeing a couple.
Let me comment, if I can comment on what Crystal has just said, because I think one of the things that we're doing is we're really all kind of getting out of our box. Think about it. You've had the 4th of July festival with, the honorary old crab every year. You've had graduation ceremonies that are probably pretty much the same year after year. We're really challenging ourselves to figure out how we might celebrate a little bit differently. And that's not a bad thing. It's actually kind of fun. when I think about the different ways that our high school graduates were celebrated with car parades and signs in front of people's yards and the virtual ceremonies that came with them, the different things that people felt challenged to do, and so I love traditions. I love the fact that parades are the same and the fireworks are the same and all that. But I do think that it's okay for us to say, all right, how are we going to do something to recognize, for instance, Memorial Day, but do it in a manner that is perhaps just a little bit different, recognizing the circumstances. So when I think about Memorial Day and what it's really all about, yes, it is a time when most of us gather for picnics and it's kind of the kickoff of summer. But really, Memorial Day is to remember and to recognize those who have honorably served us, who have given their last full measure, who have honored our country, who have defended and fought for our freedoms. And so how might we choose to honor our treasured veterans this weekend in a way that they feel special, but recognizing that it is different, that perhaps it's not a group of 100 people at a ceremony, but it's done in a different way. And so I think it's a healthy challenge for us to again honor the days, honor Memorial Day, honor Independence Day and the 4th of July, but how we might mix it up a little bit is it might be kind of healthy for the community. Get some new ideas out there. Get your young people interested in saying, okay, what's our new tradition going to be? So I just kind of kick that out to you because I think you've got a lot of folks in your community that know how to enjoy one another as families, as individuals, and might think it's kind of fun. When we got started with the mask and the face coverings a while ago, I remember the very, very first conversation that I had. It was with a group of folks out of the Kotzebue region, and they were saying, we've seen on national news that maybe we should be wearing masks. What do you think? And this was long before anyone was really recommending it. And I said, it might not hurt, and if you think it will help you and those around you, why not? But why don't you do it differently? You make beautiful native kussbucks out of colorful cloth. Take some of that cloth and make great fun masks. Make your own fun out of it. And they did. They embraced it. So again, sometimes we're delivered something that is a little uncomfortable and definitely outside of the comfort zone, but how we embrace it is really what matters.
That's perfect. Well, Senator Murkowski, you can't see the video, but Crystal has her screensaver up of herself in a mask. And Shannon Fester, who's going to ask a question in just a moment, she also has her mask showing, and it actually is the material that she used for making a kussbuck with. So right on with that.
There you go. There you go.
Before we had promised about 45 minutes or so with you. Before we sign off, Shannon has a question in relation to education, and then
Great.
Just after we're all done, if you can remain on the line, Senator. Okay.
Certainly. Yeah.
Okay. So Shannon, go ahead and share with us.
Okay, thanks. Senator Murkowski, the question that I had was regarding the fact that I'm seeing a lot of my friends on Facebook and other parts of the country, not just friends in Alaska, that are concerned about the current CDC guidance and looking like it's very daunting for what is being asked of schools. And so I'm hearing friends talking about pulling their kids from public education to homeschool. And I do currently homeschool, and I'm curious as to whether or not you see a trend that states are going to start reviewing their homeschool laws and policies and maybe making some changes, because one of the things I really appreciate about Alaska is that the current homeschool law really puts the ownership of the education of the children in the hands of the parents and trusting them to educate their children, where other states are much more strict. And I really am hopeful that Alaska will keep their laws the way that they are. But has there been any chatter about that on your end?
Yeah, well, Shannon, thank you for the question. And it's very interesting because no, I have not heard anything discussed or even kind of a buzz out there about possibly reviewing homeschool efforts. I do think that you have a concern, and I think it's a legitimate concern, that when many kids basically got the word that after spring break, you know, there's no coming back. Oh, and here we'll send you an iPad, and you can just check in every now and again, and we'll get you through the end of the school year and call it good. And I sound a little bit dismissive when I say that, and these are anecdotes that I have heard from others that have been very, very disappointed with how education has been handled in their state. And I will use a very specific example. My assistant back in Washington, D.C., her children are part of the Virginia School District, Virginia schools. And she's got one child that is a junior in high school, and her son is in 7th grade, going into 8th. And she has been extraordinarily frustrated because she was basically, as a concerned mom, realized that not only did her children not have to check in every day, there were no requirements once they did check in every day. And so for her kids, they have had no instruction. They tried to put things online, but their system was not built for it. They tried a couple different attempts and then finally gave up and said, we acknowledge that we're not set up to be doing this. And so you have a situation where all of a sudden parents who are not homeschool parents were put in the position of, well, wait a minute, the school district isn't helping my kids out. I guess I have to be the teacher here, and I'm not prepared. I'm working a full-time job, or I'm teleworking, or I just don't have the competence to do it. And so I think that there has been a focus on what has happened at home that has not resulted in good outcomes for students. But I think that is a very, very, very separate issue from the homeschool families who have a structure and who have, and you point out Alaska's system. The reason that we have so many homeschool families in the state of Alaska is because we have good homeschool programs in the state of Alaska. And I think we have demonstrated that we do well, our students do well, and we see that reported. So I hear what you're saying and the concern, and I will keep my ear to the ground on it. But I really think what we're seeing is a situation that has resulted in some unfortunate outcomes for a lot of kids for whom the education system that they were part of just kind of dissipated there at the end of this last quarter. So I'll keep like I say, I'll keep an eye out for this, but I hear your concerns and I agree with you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator. So I just want to, we're going to wrap up our time because Senator Murkowski has another call after this. But I will make note that there's a few more comments that came in. One is regarding the internet bandwidth use being so increased and how we could focus on building up Alaska's infrastructure. And I will send this question on to your aides, Senator, and look forward to an answer from them. And additionally, that I want to say that one of the folks said that he just truly respects and appreciates what he's heard. And it's refreshing to see that our leadership has a rational perspective regarding the reopening of public engagement. He appreciates you and thanks you so much for this opportunity to listen in. You truly are a person of the people, and your love for Alaska, Alaskans, and Alaskan culture is tangible. And just so you know, he's from Cordova and he wants to know if you have a Copper River mask.
You know, I don't have a Copper River mask. I should, because I have about 6 different pieces of Copper River apparel. I'm going to have to get some trim.
I bet you do. So yes, perfect. He says his ama can make you one, so that would be great.
Oh,
and, we'll get him Michelle's address, and she can make sure to get that to you. So I just want to.
Well, my birthday's tomorrow, so I will make sure that I am sporting a Copper River mask, even if I have to disassemble one myself here.
Oh, fun. That's excellent. Excellent. Well, we want to thank you so much. Again, if you can remain on the line as we wrap up, but thanks also to everybody who joined in. And if you're in Seldovia, be looking at our SVT Community News Facebook group. We've got an announcement in there about a summer kickoff barbecue drive-through celebration on Friday, and we'll have hamburgers and hot dogs and chips for everybody. So we hope to see you and make that great connection with you all. Thanks again to everybody who joined in, and we will say goodbye for now. And then Senator, if you remain on, and Michelle will remain on with Crystal and I as well. We'll be quick. Thank you.
Great. Thank you all.